evening, curious minds of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, the resident ooky spooky girly, and today is a day I've been excited about for months. So you know how I've mentioned that I have a collection of cursed dolls? Well, some of them made the trek with me today, and I'm thrilled that I get to talk about them and their behaviors. So, question for everybody. Who was your favorite cursed doll? Let me know in the comments. Other than my personal collection, I'll always love Annabelle the best. But she's pretty famous. So welcome to the top 5 unsettling cursed dolls you've never heard of before. Number 5, Walt. So I'm kicking off today with the only doll on today's list that isn't from my personal collection. This little guy actually belongs to a very good friend of mine, Mysterion the Mind Reader. He might be the one doll on this list that some of y'all may have heard about before, since he's getting more popular by the day, and he was actually recently shown on the Hulu show Repossessed. Now, Mysterion isn't the original owner of the doll. To my knowledge, he's actually the 5th owner to date. And Walt's easily the most cursed doll out of the bunch today, and probably one of the most cursed dolls of all time. Through using a spirit box, Mysterion has been able to learn that Walt loves playing with fire and is around 80 years old. He looks pretty good for his age. So spirit box communication tends to require a lot of focus to understand, and that's the same tool that Mysterion used me to help communicate with some of the other dolls you'll meet today. Now, his name, in classic doll fashion, comes from his original owner, Walter Tomlinson, born in 1927, who actually started the first fire in Walt's presence and gave the doll his hunger and love of flames. This was the one toy Walter didn't destroy, and spent his days with little human contact as he suffered from violent outbursts. As punishment for attacking a housekeeper, the doll was taken from him, and in retaliation, Walter set fire to the house. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but at that point he was sent to the state sanitarium, where he passed at the age of 15. So Toy Walt has a nasty habit of draining technological batteries as well as setting fires, so I did have the foresight to bring my phone charger and backup battery pack with me today just in case. Also for context, Mysterion's home is already haunted by a number of different ghosties, so I'm sure that doesn't help with Walt's general chaos. He enjoys tormenting animals, setting fires, and communicating through his bell, which I didn't bring with me today. I didn't have enough room in my bag. I do believe we have footage of him setting fire at a live seance, which as someone who knows Mysterion personally, that was very much real. Now, the last 3 owners before Mysterion took possession of this little guy all wound up being the victims of mysterious house fires. Oh, and if you light a candle in his vicinity, Walt has a very bad habit of manipulating it, so I'm glad he isn't in my home because I enjoy using candles on a regular basis. As you can see, his fingers look a little singed, and that's from years of fire chaos. Another fun physical fact, there's actually a lock of hair buried in his head that Mysterion believes came from the original owner, but nobody knows for sure. Oh, in lighter news, recently we found out he's apparently a fan of Michael Jackson, so he's got good taste in music for an old guy. Number 4, Glenna the porcelain baby doll. Okie dokie folks, I'm continuing this list with the most genuinely spirited doll in my personal collection, and also the oldest one. And I guess the most curious looking, but that depends on your level of fear of dolls. So, this little girl's entry into my life was pretty innocent. When I was growing up, I lived next to a set of folks I came to know as bonus grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. McLean. They were the loveliest people, and they had a little teacup poodle named Taffy that I loved very much. I forget how the conversation came to be, but one day Mrs. McLean asked if I would be interested in having one of her dolls from when she was a young girl. I accepted, and that's when this bundle of joy came into my life. Now, for the longest time, this little beauty was calm. I kept her in the corner of my room in a pink Disney princess hat box. I didn't really take her out of the box often, since as you can see, she's pretty delicate and I didn't really want to risk anything happening to her. At the same time, I was also given a green glass tea set along with the table and cushion seat that belonged to Mrs. McLean and to our little doll. Oh, before I forget, she didn't come with a name. I just christened her Glenna after Mrs. McLean because, well, it just felt right. And she's got her little clothes on and everything. So when the day came that I left my small town to go to university, she stayed behind because I didn't want anything to happen to her. Also, my university dorm was like way too small for her and her box. It wasn't until I moved into my current place last year that I really wanted her back in my life, now that I have the space, and also just I don't really see myself ever returning to my hometown. Bless my dad, he delicately moved her in the box during one of the many hours-long road trips he's made to Toronto, and I was very happy to be reunited with her. I found a spot for Glenna and her box under my bed, and that's when things took a turn for the cursed. So for context, my room is full of figurines ranging from nutcrackers to collectible Barbies, WWE action figures, Disney memorabilia, Funkos, and more. So on the fateful night that Glenna arrived, without any kind of rational explanation, the wind-up nutcracker on my bookshelf began to play without being wound up. So this had never happened before, or else he would be here today instead of this delicate creature. Luckily for me, my roomie also witnessed the event, so I can be positive that I wasn't just imagining things. But here's the thing. At the time, we weren't quite sure which of the dolls in my collection had caused a disturbance, so I messaged good old Mysterion to see if I could bring them over to his place and we could do some investigating. Bless him, he was in town that week. He's quite the world traveler. So I packed up Glenna and a few of the other dolls I'll be introducing y'all to today and brought them over to his place to get to the bottom of things. He's pretty dang good at communicating with creepy doll spirits, being the owner of, you know, a couple of creepy dolls himself, other than Walt. Granted, he also just has a full-blown museum of weird stuff in his actual home. Nevertheless, we did a session and tried seeing which of the dolls wanted to communicate communicate with us. It turned out that Glenna here was angry about the road trip and disruption to her environment and wanted to make it crystal clear that she wouldn't be a fan about anything like that ever happening again. I vowed to her then and there that I wouldn't dream of putting her through another big move ever again. Heck, today is the first time she's left my apartment in over a year. I'm really hoping she doesn't cause a ruckus tonight, but I'm planning on cleansing my home just in case. Number 3, Clara. Honestly, I think she's the prettiest doll out of the bunch. I named her after the protagonist in my favorite ballet, The Nutcracker. Look, I could talk for hours about the level of impact the ballet and the Nutcracker story have had in my life, but I burst into tears and I spent way too much time on my eyeliner this morning to risk that. I can't quite remember at what age I received her at, but she was a Christmas present. Back when I was young, I used to attend an annual young folks Christmas party at the Legion in my hometown, because my grandma was like a high-ranking member, and honestly, they were so much fun. There was always food, games, and Santa would come visit with presents. Oh, if you have little ones watching, I'd recommend turning their heads away for just a moment. So, there are quite a few different Santa's helpers in my hometown, if you catch my drift, but the real Santa was always the one that went to that party. And he was the same one that would actually visit my home on Christmas Eve and hand-deliver me a present to unwrap. In retrospect, that party also gave parents an afternoon off to wrap presents without prying eyes around, which is brilliant. Oh, another fun fact. I don't remember her coming with a name. So she was just the pretty porcelain doll that lived in my bedroom for the longest time. I didn't really name a lot of my toys when I was younger. On the Christmas morning of that same year, I actually received another porcelain doll in a rocking chair. Kind of similar to Clara here, but with messier hair, a different outfit, and wearing like a hat instead of her cute little bow. By this point, I'm sure someone has fast-forwarded me while looking for the curse part. I promise, I'm getting to it. So Clara originally lived in my basement playroom back when she didn't have a name, and granted, I didn't venture down there super often since I was kind of afraid of the basement with all of its dark corners, and you know what? I still am. If I went too long between playdates, I'd find all my toys thrown about the room. You know, at first I thought, it was my little brother, since, you know, kind of a classic annoying little brother move. But eventually, I was able to rule out that theory. So I moved Clara up to my bedroom, and she seemed content enough to relax and not cause any more havoc. I didn't like being punished for cleaning, by the way. She's managed to survive a couple of moves now, but she tried losing her leg for a while after the last move in protest. I had it reattached, this little delicate leg here, and reassured her that it was the last time I'd bring her on a big move. She lives in my bedroom these days, sitting in her chair right next to my beloved childhood Nutcracker. Number 2, the Ballerina Ragdoll. So, for starters, I know she's quite something. The red patch that catches everyone's eyes at first is actually her nose, not her mouth. I know, kinda jarring. But her mouth is actually this long line that runs right underneath, and it's super easy to miss. And the yarn hair is adjustable. If my memory serves correctly, originally it was set at like a somewhat shorter length, and I was informed that if I pull on it, it'll adjust, ergo giving her the permanent bedhead she's had. So now that the obvious is out of the way, allow me to tell the wonky tale of how this ballerina came to be in my possession. To set the scene, picture little Alexa, probably dressed in something pink and adorable, wandering around an arts and crafts market in a college gym. Hey look, pink is my favorite color, contrary to popular belief. As I wandered around from booth to booth, I came across one named Abby's Attic, where I spotted this gorgeous pink ragdoll. It's been over a decade now, but she had well-maintained long hair, some of it in braids, a cute face with a less pronounced patch, and was in a pink ballerina outfit. I immediately alerted my mom to the doll since, you know, Christmas was near, and well, being a, you know, pink ballerina doll meant little Alexa wanted it. She acknowledged the doll, but to my knowledge at the time, didn't buy it. So I just allowed myself to forget about it because, well, I was young and out of sight, out of mind is still very much a concept in my life. And I'm sure I wanted a million things, you know? I used to mark up the Sears catalog like no tomorrow every year. Before I go off on a tangent though, fast forward to Christmas morning. I'm unwrapping my gifts, and one of the pretty pink packages under the tree is open to reveal a ragdoll with short red stringy hair in a blue dress. Now, you can certainly imagine my confusion, and while I tried to appear grateful, blue was not one of my preferred colors at the time, and it kinda showed. My mom reached out to the lady she got the doll from, and it turned out there was a smidge of a mix-up. And sadly, the original pink doll I'd fallen in love with was no longer available, but if I wanted to pick from her current stock of dolls, the blue one could be exchanged. So off we went to this lady's home, and since purple was my second favorite color at the time, and I liked the little teddy bears on the dress, I settled on this, beauty in the purple dress with the gangly arms and legs. She found her home on a bright yellow rocking chair that lived in a corner of my bedroom for many, many years. For quite a while, she would be buried under other stuffed animals or face down because, well, look at her. She's unsettling. When I eventually moved out to go to university, she did not make the move with me and stayed back in my small town. And not because of space, I just didn't want her. Now, during my second year of university, my dad started sleeping in my old bedroom, and he was so creeped out by her that she found a new home, the closet. I'm not kidding, and I have a feeling this might be one of the videos that my dad is actually watching, so hi Dad, remember this monstrosity? Nowadays, she lives in the living room of my apartment because while I can't find it in me to pass her on to someone or burn her, she has an energy that just cannot be ignored, and I'm prone to enough nightmares as it is. Number 1, plastic baby doll. Okay, another nameless doll, I know. This little, darling got passed down to me by my grandma, and I've never found a fitting name for her, to, or wanted to. I've been considering Millie though. I don't know much about her history sadly, and that's after asking my dad and my aunt. Seriously, when I asked my aunt, all I got was a reminder that she doesn't like dolls, and seeing as this was from her side of the family, it checks. What I do know is that she has a very bad habit of moving her eyes on her own, and not in a way that's natural. Like right now it looks normal because she's, standing up, but even when she's lying down, it's just creepy. Because we're on camera right now, I doubt she's gonna misbehave, but feel free to watch closely in case she does. Oh, I almost forgot. She and Clara were the other two dolls that I brought with Glenna to Mysterion's for that checkup. And while she was calm then, I have half a mind to ask him to perform another session tonight when I swing by to return Walt. I tend to keep this baby doll in a corner of my room under a pile of stuffed animals, and she kinda creeps me out, but I guess I should probably give her a name at this point to be nice. I know I mentioned Millie earlier, but let me know your suggestions in the comments. And that brings us to the end of our time, and I've promised all the folks here I was gonna cleanse the air after I filmed this, so I should probably get cracking on that. I really hope y'all enjoyed today's video, seeing as I risked a lot of fate by transporting these dolls into the studio. So could you do me a favor and help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more cursed content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.